Barak Yahuwah. Go ahead. Barak Yahuwah. Once again, we say Shabbat Shalom to the whole Bayif, to the whole house of YAHUAH'S, all 12 tribes, worldwide, wherever your feet are touching the soil on this yom. To the elder brother Yehuda, to the younger brother Ephraim, to the former stranger, the former Gentile, the former nation, the former foreigner, who is no longer estranged from the everlasting covenant, but having been engrafted into the olive tree, and whereby having received the ruach of adoption, whereby now becoming adopted sons and fellow citizens of the Bayif in the house of YAHUAH'S, and whereby now being privy to the same everlasting covenant and promise and inheritance that was given to YAHUAH'S and to YAHUAH'S alone. Shalom, shalom to you worldwide, wherever your feet are touching the soil on this yom. Peace and blessings to you, to your house. Shalom and barakut to both you and your house, wherever your feet are touching the soil on this yom. Welcome to YAHUAH'S Remnant Shabbat Gathering. I am Daoud ben Yahuwah, and this is my Aisha Ashayah.
Shalom.
Barak Yahuwah. Welcome to those of you who are on YouTube, who will hear this later on. We welcome you, and we are grateful that Yahuwah has sent you. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. So we continue on this journey. Briefly, in the first half of this, and this will be a teaching. This is not a proclamation. This is a teaching. As we continue, but in the first proclamation, it was stated that the identifying mark of a firstborn son or a daughter who is born of Ruch, or a daughter who is born of Ruch, is righteousness, is the fruit of righteousness. This is what identifies us. And as Yahuwah has been teaching us along this ancient path, we have discovered that righteousness, not only have we discovered what that righteousness looks like, but he has shown us that righteousness is perfection, that we must be perfect. And he has shown us that the level of righteousness, which is perfection, that is expected of us, cannot be accomplished from the flesh. It cannot be accomplished from the flesh. It can only be accomplished from a place of ruach. It can only be accomplished from a place of ruach. Indeed, the road is narrow and it is hard pressed, and there are few who find it. There are few who find it, and there are few because the multitudes do not understand that this path is so hard that it cannot be. You cannot walk it in your flesh. It is the road of perfection. It is the perfect way. It is the perfect way that we can. If we are not operating in ruach, then we can't. We're not on that road. We're nowhere near it. If we're not in ruach, we're nowhere near that narrow road. We're nowhere near the narrow path. We're nowhere near the ancient path. No one alive can keep Torah in their flesh. No one on this earth can keep Torah in the flesh. It is impossible. It is impossible to do. The perfection that is required and expected of us can only be accomplished in Ruach. It can only be accomplished in Ruach. And if indeed you identify yourself or herself as firstborn, then perfection is the standard. Perfection is the standard. If you identify yourself as firstborn, perfection is the standard. We must be perfect as he is perfect. We must be righteous as he is righteous. We must be kadosh as he is Kadosh. And so this journey continues as we now continue to look at the righteous example of Yahushua. We continue to look at the righteous example of Yahushua, and in reading the current book that we're reading, Joseph and Aseneth, Joseph and Aseneth, we're now, if you're a daughter of Zion, seeing the righteous example of not only Yahushua, but the righteous example of Aseneth, a daughter who had come out of the nations like all of you did. Every single one of you came out of the nations. And so she is an example to you of a daughter who has come out of the nations and who is now walking the righteous way in perfection, in righteousness and truth. Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah. And so on the fourth night, as we continue this journey, and if you're taking notes, this is Searching for the Ancient Path, part 35. Searching for the Ancient Path, part 35. Firstborn are perfect. Firstborn are perfect. Mispaka, there are not many who are looking to perfection in this season. There are not many who are looking to righteousness in this season. There are not many who are looking to this ancient path in this season, who are aspiring to walk this ancient path in Ruach and in truth. Indeed, this ancient path is the path of unleavened bread. It is the road of unleavened bread. There ain't no leaven on this road. There is no leaven on this road. Indeed, we're approaching the Pesach season, but we are to eat unleavened every day. We're to eat unleavened bread every day. We are to eat righteousness and do righteousness every day. Not just during the Pesach season, every day, every single day. We are to live this feast. And so this road, this narrow road, this ancient path, this is the road of unleavened bread. This is the road of sincerity and truth. The unleavened road of sincerity and truth. There ain't no leaven on this road. There is no leaven on this road. If you're packing leaven, if you're carrying leaven, listen, if you are carrying leaven, if Abba is compassionate and he's working on that leaven, you may be on the edge of that road. You may be rubbing against the side pavement of that road. You may be rolling on the side of that road because there ain't no leaven allowed on this road. There's no leaven allowed on this road. And so as he deals with each of us, because many are on the side, that little yellow line, we're riding right up against that little yellow line that divides the road from the pavement. We're riding right up against that yellow line because our Abba is compassionate. But you must understand, this road is unleavened. This road is righteous. This road is perfect. No leaven can travel this road. No unrighteousness can travel this road. Only the perfect can travel this road. Indeed, if you are firstborn according to Ruach, then that means that you have been reborn in perfection, because there is no imperfection in Shamayim. There is nothing imperfect there. Only the perfect dwell there, and only the perfect in the way are going to enter into everlasting life. And so this past fourth day, Barak Yahuwah, we stopped off in Joseph and Aseneth, Joseph and Aseneth. I believe we stopped off in chapter 13. We're going to begin the day in chapter 14. We're probably, not going to finish this book today either. My Aisha reminded me just this past fourth day that there are 29 chapters in the book. And so we're probably not going to finish it today. I couldn't see her, but I'm sure she had a look of bewilderment on her face, when she told me that there were 29 chapters in it. And so, we're going to put Ashiyah before ourselves, Barak Yahuwah, understanding that she's doing all of the reading. We're going to put her before ourselves. And so we're probably not going to finish all 29 chapters today, but Yahuwah willing, perhaps on the fourth day, we'll finish all 29 chapters of this. And so beginning today, Barak Yahuwah, we're going to start at chapter 14. You should already have a PDF copy of this. Each of you should already have a PDF copy of this. And today, Barak Yahuwah, we're going to start in chapter 14. Chapter 14. So beginning at verse 1 of chapter 14 of Joseph, Joseph, and Aseneth, we read,
And when Aseneth had ceased making confession to the master, lo, the morning star also arose out of heaven in the east. And Aseneth saw it and rejoiced and said, Hath the master Elohim then heard my prayer? For that this star is a messenger and herald of the light of the great day. And lo, hard by the morning star the heaven was rent, and a great and ineffable light appeared. And when she saw it, Aseneth fell upon her face upon the cinders. And straightway there came to her a man from heaven, sending forth rays of light, and stood above her head. And as she lay on her face, the divine Malachim said to her, Aseneth, stand up. And she said, Who is he that called me? For that the door of my chamber is shut, and the tower is high. And how then have he come into my chamber? And he called her again a second time, saying, Aseneth, Aseneth. And she said, Here I am. Master, tell me who thou art. And he said, I am the chief captain of the master Elohim, and commander of all the hosts of YAHUAH'S. Stand up and stand upon thy feet, that I may speak to thee my words. And she lifted up her face and saw, and lo, a man in all things like unto Joseph, in robe and wreath and royal staff, save that his face was as lightning, and his eyes as the light of the sun, and the hairs of his head of the flames, as the flames of fire of a burning torch.
Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah, a man who in every way was like Joseph, a son of Elohim. Abba has told us that if you are indeed a son or daughter of Elohim, then we are what? We are visible images of the invisible Elohim. We are visible images of the invisible Elohim. Now you can use your imagination as to who this was. I only know of one captain of the host. I only know of one that he appeared to Yahusha, commonly called Joshua, on the banks of that river. And he told him to take off his shoes because where he stood was Kadush ground. Indeed, he manifests himself in many different ways. He manifests himself in many different ways. He is the bright and morning star. Barak Yahuwah. Read.
And his hands and his feet like iron shining from fire.
Oh, Barak Yahuwah. Does this not sound like Revelation chapter 1? Keep reading.
For as it were, sparks proceeded both from his hands and from his feet. Seeing these things, Aseneth feared and fell on her face, unable even to stand upon her feet. For she became greatly afraid, and all her limbs trembled. And the man said to her, Be of good cheer, Aseneth, and fear not. But stand up and stand upon thy feet, that I might speak to thee my words. Then Aseneth stood up and stood upon her feet. And the messenger said to her, Go without impediment into the second chamber, and lay aside the black tunic wherein thou art clad, and cast off the sackcloth from thy loins, and shake out the cinders from thy head, and wash thy face and thy hands with pure water, and put on a white untouched robe, and gird thy loins with the bright girdle of virginity, the double one, and come again to me, and I will speak to thee the words that are sent to thee from the master. Then Aseneth hastened and went into her second chamber, wherein were the chest of her adorning, and opened her coffer, and took a white fine untouched robe, and put it on, having first put off the black robe, and ungirded also the rope and the sackcloth from her loins, and girded herself in a bright double girdle of her virginity, one girdle.
Oh, Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah. That day he took the shame and degradation from Egypt, from her, Barak Yahuwah, and put and caused her to put on new garments, fresh garments, because she is no longer a daughter of the devil. Now you are a daughter of Yahuwah Al-Yum. Put on fresh garments, put on bright linen. This day I have taken the shame of Egypt from you. I wonder, daughters, I'm talking to you daughters, has he taken the shame of Egypt from you? Has he taken the shame and degradation from Masraim from you? You don't have to be silent. If he has taken it from you, let somebody know about it.
Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah.
I guess he hadn't taken the. Oh, there's one. There's one. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. There's two people that he's taken the shame and degradation, or three people, counting my Aisha, that he's taken the shame and degradation from Mizraim from them. You don't have to say anything. I'll say something for you. Barak Yahuwah, because he has taken the shame and degradation of Egypt from me.
Barak Yahuwah.
Barak Yahuwah.
Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah.
Ha, Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Read, little one.
Okay. One girdle about her loins and another girdle about her breast. And she shook out also the cinders from her head and washed her hands and face with pure water. And she took a mantle most beautiful and fine and veiled her head.
Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. You want to see righteous behavior? You want to see the ancient path, daughter? See, here we're talking about the veil. We're talking about that covering. Yes, it is righteous behavior. It is righteous behavior to veil yourself in his presence. Wasn't she in his presence? She veiled herself to hide her shame. This is righteous behavior. This is ancient righteous behavior. To cover your shame, to hide your shame. The shame of you being created in the image of Adam, your head, and bringing shame upon him by, instead of obeying him, instead of obeying the head, Kua, your mother, obeyed Hashatan. And so now you are to cover your shame when coming into the presence of Yahuwah. This is righteous behavior. This is the ancient path. Read, little one.
Chapter 15.
Chapter 15.
Okay. And thereupon she came to the divine chief captain and stood before him. And the messenger of the master said to her, take now the mantle from thine head, for that thou art today a pure virgin, and thine head is as of a young man. And Aseneth took it from her head. And again the divine messenger said to her, be of good cheer, Aseneth, the virgin and pure, for lo, the master Elohim heard all the words of thy confession and thy prayer, and he hath seen also thy humility.
You got to go back and read some because they missed something. Put your finger there. Keep your finger there. Keep your finger there, little one. But you got to go back and get something because they missed this. You are now as a young man. Read that.
Okay, let me find it. Okay, I'll just say, take now the mantle from thine head, for thou art today a pure virgin, and thine head is as of a young man.
And thine head is as that of a young man. A young man doesn't wear a veil. A young man doesn't wear a veil. A man doesn't veil himself because he is made in the image of Yahuwah, so he doesn't cover his face. He doesn't cover his face. That doesn't mean that you can remove your veil. There's something being said in this. There's something being said. When the renewed Jerusalem comes down, there are 12 gates that are going to enter, that are going to lead to the entrance of that city. And through those gates will only walk priests, will only walk Kahanim, because only a Kahanim can enter into the presence of Yahuwah. For you men, this is what 1 Peter chapter 3 alludes to, that you are to live understandingly with your Aisha, understanding that you are co-heirs. You are co-heirs. One day you're going to be co-heirs. One day he's only going to have sons. Right now he has sons and daughters. There are no daughters in Shamayim. There are only sons. One day he's only going to have sons. One day. And so while you are working out your own salvation with fear and trembling, being that righteous handmaid and bondwoman, veiling your face, you man, not ruling harshly over her, but living understandingly with her, understanding that she is your co-heir, and so that you are to treat her that way as a co-heir, so that your prayers are not hindered. Living understandingly with her, being tender-hearted towards her, being patient with her, being loving towards her, understanding in the same way that Yahuwah rules over us, and understanding that one day she is going to be a co-heir. As we read, we're not going to go there in the book of Revelation, the 21st chapter, when it speaks there that he who overcomes He will be their Elohim, and they will be what? His son. His son. And so you are being remade into that image, woman. You're being remade into that image. But that is being predicated on your meekness, on your humility, on you assuming righteousness, on you assuming the posture of a handmaid, of a bondwoman. Because if you are already exalted, there is no place for you to be raised to. You must be low. You must become low, meek, lowly, and humble. From this place will he exalt us, both man and woman. Barak Yahuwah, read, little one.
Be of good cheer, Aseneth, the virgin and pure, for lo, the master Elohim heard all the words of thy confession and thy prayer, and he hath seen also thy humiliation and affliction of the 7 days of thine abstinence, for that from thy tears much clay has been formed before thy face upon these cinders. Accordingly be of good cheer, Aseneth, the virgin and pure, for lo, thy name hath been written in the book of life, and shall not be blotted out forever.
Oh, Barak Yahuwah. Oh, she received a taste. She got some real oil, little one. That wasn't no snake oil on her. She got some real oil, real authentic oil that can neither be bought nor sold. Oh, she got the seal of redemption. The seal of redemption that seals her in the tablets of Shamayim, such that she can never be blotted out. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. All the shame of Egypt had been taken away from her, who had come out of the nations and who had sought Yahuwah with meekness and humility, with pureness of heart, standing naked before him, saying, here I am, Abba. Here is all my crime. Here is all my sin. I hide nothing from you. I'm not running for the fig leaves. Here I am, Father. Cover my nakedness and forgive me of my crime. Read, little one.
But from this day thou shalt be renewed and refashioned and requickened, and thou shalt eat the blessed bread of life and drink a cup filled with immortality.
Oh, Barak Yahuwah, I pray you know he talking about the Ruach HaKodesh. Yes, he is. That is the bread of life. He is the bread of life. I am the bread from Shamayim. The Ruach HaKodesh is the bread of life. We're looking at a perfect woman right here. Being remade perfect, being reborn perfect. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. We're looking at the regeneration. Come on, read, little one.
And be anointed with the blessed unction of incorruption.
Oh, and be what?
Be anointed with the blessed unction of incorruption.
Say it one more time.
Be anointed with the blessed unction of incorruption.
I told you we were talking about the Ruach HaKodesh. You can't do perfection without it. You can't be perfect without him. Without him, we are nothing. We're cut off from the vine and good, and where we would dry up and be good for only nothing but the trash heap. You can't do perfection. You can't produce fruit. You can't produce righteousness without the Ruach HaKodesh. You cannot. We cannot walk this narrow way without authentically having the Ruach HaKodesh, who can neither be bought nor sold. Who can neither be bought nor sold. Read, little one.
Be of good cheer, Aseneth, the virgin and pure. Lo, the master Elohim have given thee today to Yahusha for a bride. And he himself shall be thy bridegroom forever. And no more henceforth shalt thou be called Aseneth, but thy name shall be city of refuge. For that in thee many nations shall seek refuge, and they shall lodge under thy wings, and many nations shall find shelter by thy means, and upon thy walls they who cleave unto Yahuwah Al-Yun through penitence shall be kept secure. For that penitence is daughter of Yahuwah Al-Yun, and she herself entreateth Yahuwah Al-Yun for 3 every hour, and for all that repent, since he is the father of penitence, and she herself is the completion and overseer of all virgins, loving you exceedingly and beseeching Yahuwah Al-Yun for you every hour, and for all who repent. She will provide a place of rest in the heavens, and she reneweth everyone who hath repented, and penitence is exceeding fair, a virgin pure and gentle and mild, And therefore YAHUAH'S loveth her, and all the messengers revere her, and I love her exceedingly, for that she herself also is my sister, and as she loveth you virgins, I also love you. And lo, for my part, I go to Joseph, and will speak to him all these words concerning thee. He will come to thee today, and see thee, and rejoice over thee, and love thee, and be thy bridegroom, and thou shalt be his beloved bride forever. Accordingly, hear me, Aseneth, and put on a wedding robe, the ancient and first robe that is yet laid up in thy chamber from of old, and put all thy choice adornings also about thee, and adorn thyself as a good bride, and make thyself ready to meet him. For lo, he himself cometh to thee today, and will see thee and rejoice. And when the messenger of the master in the shape of a man had finished speaking these words to Aseneth, she rejoiced with great joy over all the things that were spoken by him, and fell upon her face upon the earth, and made obeisance before his feet, and said to him, Blessed is the master, thy Elohim, who sent thee to deliver me from the darkness, and to bring me from the foundations of the abyss into the light. And blessed is the name forever. If then I have found favor, my master, in thy sight, and shall know that thou wilt perform all the words which thou hast said to me, so that they be accomplished, let thine handmaid speak to thee. And the messenger said to her, Say on. And she said, I pray thee, master, sit down a little time upon this bed, because this bed is pure and undefiled. For that another man or other woman never sat upon it. And I will set before thee a table and bread, and thou shalt eat. And I will bring thee also wine old and good, the odor whereof shall reach until heaven, and thou shalt drink thereof, and thereafter shalt depart upon thy way. And he said to her, Haste and bring it quickly.
Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah. Now understand something. Wisdom is also called the her. Wisdom is called a she. Some of these words are symbolic. Some of these words are symbolic, calling penitence a her, wisdom a her. Even the Ruach HaKadosh is spoke of as a feminine noun, but we know that the Ruach HaKadosh is Yahuwah, and he is neither male nor female. And so some of this language with respect to her and she, this is symbolic. This is symbolic language. But I bring your attention to the pure and undefiled nature and meek and humble nature of Aseneth. I pray that you are paying attention to this, not just daughters, but also you brethren. I pray that you are paying attention, because we are all to be what? In this manner. We are all to be pure, undefiled virgins for our master. We are all to be meek and lowly. We're all to be bondmen and bondwomen in the same way that Aseneth was. We are all to what? To wash each other's feet in the example that our master gave to us. When he said a servant is not greater than his master, that what he had did, what he had done to them, that we are to do likewise to one another. We are to be bondmen and bondwomen to each other. We are to be servants to one another. We are to put each other before ourselves. We are to put each other's welfare before ourselves. Oh, no greater love than a man than this, but to lay down his life for his brethren. We are to put each other before ourselves and become bondwomen and bondmen. And we are to be pure and undefiled and righteous and perfect, in the same way that we're seeing the example of this righteous woman who had come out of the nations and who had been regenerated, who had been reborn into perfection. Read, little one.
Chapter 16.
Chapter 16.
All right. And Aseneth hasted and set an empty table before him. And as she was starting to fetch bread, the divine messenger said to her, Bring me also an honeycomb. And she stood still and was perplexed and grieved, for that she had not a beecomb in her storehouse. And the divine Malachim said to her, Wherefore standest thou still? And she said, My master, I will send a boy to the suburb, because the possession of our inheritance is near. And he will come and bring one quickly thence, and I will set it before thee. The divine messenger said to her, Enter thy storehouse, and thou wilt find a bee's comb lying upon the table. Take it up and bring it hither. And she said, Master, there is no bee's comb in my storehouse. And he said, Go and thou wilt find. And Aseneth entered her storehouse and found a honeycomb lying. Elohim has been revealed to thee, and blessed are all who cleave to the master Elohim in penitence. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, okay. Because thou shalt eat of this comb, for that this comb is the root of life, and this is the bees of the paradise of delight have made from the dew of the roses of life that are in the paradise of Elohim, and every flower, and of it eat the Malachims and all the elect of Elohim and all the sons of YAHUAH'S, and whosoever shall eat of it shall not die forever. Then the divine messenger stretched out his right hand and took a small piece from the comb and ate, and with his own hand placed what was left in Aseneth's mouth, and said to her, Eat. And she ate, and the Malachim said to her, Lo, no, now thou hast eaten the bread of life, and hast drunk the cup of immortality, and have been anointed with the unction of incorruption.
Barak Yahuwah. She's now anointed. She's reborn. She's reborn to perfection. Reborn to the newness of life. As a newborn babe, being born of perfection, and now she has entered into an everlasting covenant with Yahuwah, having received the Ruach HaKadosh, and having had her heart circumcised, which is a sign of the everlasting covenant between Yahuwah and his people. But listen, this woman was righteous. This woman was righteous. And this is what identified her as a daughter of Zion, was her righteousness. Her righteousness is what identified us. And one cannot operate in righteousness. One cannot do righteousness without having been anointed with righteousness. One can't do it. This woman was righteous. She was pure. She was undefiled. She was perfect. Read, little one.
Lo, now today thy flesh produceth flowers of life from the fountain of YAHUAH'S, and thy bones shall be made fat like the cedars of the paradise of delight of Elohim, and unwearying power shall maintain thee. Accordingly thy youth shall not see old age, nor shall thy beauty fail forever, but thou shalt be as a walled mother of all. And the master incited the comb, and many bees arose from the cells of that comb. And the cells were numberless, tens of thousands of tens of thousands, and thousands of thousands. And the bees also were white like snow, and their wings as purple and crimson stuff, and as scarlet. And they had also sharp stings, and injured no man. Then all those bees encircled Aseneth from feet to head, and other great bees like their queens arose from the cells, and they circled round upon her face and upon her lips, and made a comb upon her mouth and upon her lips, like the comb that lay before the messenger. And all those bees ate from the comb that was upon Aseneth's mouth. And the messenger said to the bees, Go now to your place. Then all the bees rose and flew and departed to heaven. But as many as wished to endure Aseneth, all fell upon the earth and died. And thereupon the messenger stretched his staff over the dead bees and said to them, Rise and depart you also into your place. Then all the dead bees rose and departed into the court that adjoined Aseneth's house, and took up their lodging upon the fruit-bearing trees.
Barak Yahuwah.
I think I'm going to read from this one because this is skipping. Chapter 17.
Chapter 17, Barak Yahuwah.
And the messenger said to Aseneth, Have you seen this thing? And she said, Yes, my Rabbi, I have seen all these things. The messenger said to her, So shall all my words be as I have spoken to you today. Then the messenger of Yahuwah stretched forth his right hand and touched the side of the comb, and straightway fire came up from the table and devoured the comb. But the table was not injured a whit. And when much fragrance had come forth from the burning of the comb and filled the chamber, Aseneth said to the messenger, Yahuwah, I have 7 virgins who were brought up with me from my youth and were born on one night.
Wait a minute. Aseneth said to the messenger, Yahuwah?
Yes.
Okay.
I have 7 virgins who were brought up with me from my youth and were born on one night with me, who wait upon me, and I love them all as my sisters. I will call them, and you shall bless them too, even as you have blessed me. And the messenger said to her, call them. Then Aseneth called the 7 virgins and set them before the messenger. And the messenger said to them, Yahuwah Elohim Al Shaddai shall bless you, and you shall be as pillars of refuge of 7 cities, and all the elect of that city who dwell together shall rest upon you forever. And after these things, the messenger said to Aseneth, take away this table. And when Aseneth turned to remove the table straightway, he departed from her eyes. And Aseneth saw as if were a chariot with 4 horses that were going eastward to heaven. And the chariot was as a flame of fire, and the horses as lightning. And the messenger was standing above that chariot. Then Aseneth said, silly and foolish am I, the lowly one, for I have spoken as though a man came into my chamber from heaven. I did not know that Yah had come into it, and lo now he goes back to heaven to his place. And she said in herself, be gracious, Yah, to your bondmaid, and spare your handmaid, because for my part I have in ignorance spoken rash things before you.
Oh, Barak Yahuwah. He takes on many different forms. Barak Yahuwah. As our deliverer, he is Yahushua HaMashiach. Barak Yahuwah. He takes on many different forms. He came as the captain of the host to Yahushua, commonly called Joshua. He appeared before Abraham. Barak Yahuwah. Yaakov wrestled with him. Barak Yahuwah. In a different form. He appeared to Masha in a different form. Masha saw the form of Elohim. He saw Yahushua HaMashiach. Masha saw the messenger of the presence, the Ruach HaKadosh. I wonder, daughters of Zion, have you had a visitation? Have you tasted of the bread of life? Have you received the oil? Have you received the unction of eternal life and tasted of the eternal bread? Have you, daughters, been remade in perfection? Have you been remade in perfection? I pray you're paying attention. I pray you're paying attention, because you see, this question, whether you're male or female, must be answered in the affirmative. It must be answered in the affirmative, because if you have not received the regeneration, if you have not received the unction, the oil, the seal of redemption, whereby having our names written on the tablets, whereby Yahushua speaking these words that no one can snatch us from either his hands or the Father's hand, who is greater than he. And if you have not received this unction, if you have not tasted of this bread, if you have not received of this oil, then you're not a firstborn. You're not a firstborn, and you're not on this road. You're not on this road. This road is specifically reserved for firstborn sons and for daughters born of the Ruach. It is specifically reserved for them who have been equipped to walk the perfect way, because this way is perfect. This is the way of unleavened bread. This is the way of righteousness, where no unrighteousness walks, where no unrighteousness can reside. This is a private road. It's a private road. It's a road in which one can only travel by invitation, by the invitation of the Ruach HaKadosh. And it is understood that the only patrons or the only participants are the only ones on this road. The only ones on this road are those who do righteousness, are those who do righteousness, on those who do righteousness. I pray you're understanding. You must do righteousness. We must do righteousness. We must be perfect. And if we have not received this oil, if we have not partaken of this bread of life, if we have not received this unction of immortality, who is the Ruach HaKadosh, then there's that broad road. That's a public road. It's for the public. It's for the population. It's for the populace. It's for everybody else. It is for billions of people. It is for billions of people who do not understand that you must be perfect, who do not understand that the only way that we can do righteousness is to be born from above, who do not understand that there is a next level, that there is a level of righteousness that cannot be accomplished in the flesh. Read, little one.
Chapter 18.
Chapter 18.
And while Aseneth was yet speaking these words to herself, lo, a young man, one of the servants of Yahushua, said, Yahushua, the mighty man of Elohim, comes to you today. And straightway Aseneth called the overseer of her house and said to him, hasten and prepare my house and make a good dinner ready, for Yahushua, the mighty man of Elohim, comes to us today. And the overseer of the house, when he saw her, for her face had shrunk from the 7 days' affliction and weeping and abstinence, sorrowed and wept. And he took hold of her right hand and kissed it tenderly, and said, what troubles you, my lady, that your face is this shrunken? And she said, I have had great pain about my head, and sleep departed from my eyes. Then the overseer of the house went away and prepared the house and the dinner. And Aseneth remembered the messenger's words and his injunctions, and hastened and entered her second chamber, where the chest of her adorning were, and opened her great coffer, and brought out her first robe like lightning to behold, and put it on. And she girded herself also with a girdle bright and royal, that was of gold and precious stones. And on her hands she put golden bracelets, and upon her feet golden buckskins, and a precious ornament about her neck. And a golden wreath she put about her head, and on the wreath as upon its front was a great sapphire stone. And around the great stone were many precious stones, and with the mantle she veiled her head. And when Aseneth remembered the words of the overseer of her house, for he had said to her that her face had shrunk, she sorrowed exceedingly, and groaned, and said, woe is me, the lowly one, since my face is shrunken. Yahushua will see me thus, and I shall be set as nothing by him. And she said to her handmaid, bring me pure water from the fountain. And when she had brought it, she poured it out into the basin, and bending down to wash her face, she saw her own face shining like the sun, and her eyes as the morning star when it rises, and her cheeks as a star of heaven, and her lips as red roses. The hairs of her head were as the vine that blooms among his fruits in the paradise of Yahuwah, and her neck as an all very great variegated cypress. And Aseneth, when she saw these things, marveled in herself at the sight, and rejoiced with exceedingly great joy, and did not wash her face, for she said to herself, lest I wash off this great and commonly beauty.
Oh, brethren, brethren, isn't a daughter of Zion beautiful? Come on, talk back to me. Isn't a daughter of Zion beautiful?
Yes.
I don't know about you, but I have a beautiful daughter of Zion. I have a beautiful daughter of Zion whom I serve, and whom serves me, whom I will die for, whom I will protect, who I will wash with the washing of the word, whom I am one with, whom I have entered into the bond of covenant with, and whom I love with my whole heart, and whom I love as myself, and whom I am willing to put before myself. Oh, I got a beautiful daughter of Zion. You don't understand. You don't live with her. I live with this beautiful daughter of Zion. And a daughter of Zion, Miss Parker, is beautiful. See, you don't understand. See, I was married to one who was not a daughter of Zion. And she was ugly. She was ugly. Now, she may have been not ugly in terms of what the world considers ugly, but she was ugly. She was ugly. She didn't have the beauty of a daughter of Zion. She did not have the beauty of a daughter of Zion. Brethren, daughters of Zion are beautiful. And when you find one, you found a precious ruby. Yes, you have. Yes, you have. You found a precious ruby. It is more precious than fine gold. She is more precious than fine gold. Yeah, we're talking about that Proverbs 31 woman, that daughter of Zion. If you have one, brethren, if you have one, do right by her. Do right by her. Rightly rule over her. Rule over her and love her and cherish her as Yahuwah rules over us and loves us and cherishes us. Read, little one.
The overseer of her house then came back to tell her, all things are done that you commanded. And when he beheld her, he feared greatly and was seized with trembling for a long time. And he fell at her feet and began to say, what is this, my mistress? What is this beauty that surrounds you that is great and marvelous? Has Yahuwah Elohim of heaven chosen you as bride for his son Joseph? That's 19 is the next chapter.
Chapter 19. Chapter 19. Oh, I pray somebody got that deep down. Deep down. A daughter of Zion is so beautiful. So beautiful and precious because the garment of righteousness covers her. And righteousness is beautiful. Because righteousness is our Father, Yahuwah. He is righteousness. When a daughter walks in righteousness and meekness and humility, brethren, daughters, that's true beauty. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. That is the ancient way. Read, little one.
And while they were yet speaking these things, a boy came, saying to Aseneth, lo, Joseph stand before the door of our court. Then Aseneth hastened and went down the stairs from her loft with the 7 virgins to meet Joseph, and stood in the porch of her house. And Joseph having come into the court, the gates were shut, and all strangers remained outside.
Okay, I have to say this. Do you understand? I need you to understand this. That when our husband, Yahusef now, being a foreshadowing of the Hamashiach, he's a foreshadowing of the Hamashiach. He is a foreshadowing. He is symbolic of the Hamashiach. I pray you understand this. Now I pray you further understand that if we are not presented to our husband in the same way, pure and perfect and righteous and meek and humble, a virgin that Aseneth was presented to Yahusef, if we're not presented this way, then we're going to be taken outside of our Father's house and stoned. Shaul puts it this way. He says, I am envious for you. I am jealous for you. He said, it is my desire to present each of you as a pure virgin to the master. As a pure virgin to the master. Indeed, that is my desire as well, to present each of you, to present us as pure virgins to the master. And if we're not presented to the master in this way, in the way that Aseneth was presented to Yahusef, this is what's expected. This perfection is what is expected of us. If we're not presented this way, then we're going to be taken outside of the Father's house and stoned in accordance with the Torah. Chapter 19. Chapter 19. Barak Yahuwah. Beginning chapter 19, verse 1.
We still in 19.
We're still in 19. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I get to speaking. Read, little one. Thank you for keeping your Aish on point. See how good of an eye. See, I told you. Beautiful Aisha. Beautiful Barak Yahuwah. Thank you, little one. Go ahead.
And Aseneth came out from the porch to meet Yahusef, and when he saw her, he marveled at her beauty and said to her, who are you, girl? Quickly tell me. And she
listen. Listen. Do you marvel at the beauty and the righteousness of Aisha? I do. Yes, I do. I marvel at this daughter of Zion. I'm not exalting her.
Please, Barak Yahuwah.
I'm not exalting her. She's embarrassed because she's meek and she's lowly and she's humble. But I have to speak it. A daughter of Zion is beautiful. A daughter of Zion is beautiful. And you are to marvel at your Aisha. You are to marvel at her beauty, at her purity, at her righteousness. You are to marvel at her, Barak Yahuwah, and treat her and guard her accordingly, Barak Yahuwah. Come on, read, little one.
Okay. Who are you, girl? Quickly tell me. And she said to him, I, master, am your handmaid, Aseneth.
I am your what?
I, master, am your handmaid, Aseneth.
I am your what?
Your handmaid.
Okay, stop right there. Daughters, are you a handmaid? Come on, talk back to me.
Hallelujah.
Yes. Yes. Hallelujah.
Barak Yahuwah. Yes, Barak Yahuwah.
I don't think that was all the daughters. Daughters, are you a handmaid?
Yes, Barak Yahuwah.
Yeah.
Hallelujah. Yes.
So be it.
Oh, well, there was even a bondman that spoke. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. You must be a handmaid, daughters. As we must be bondmen. You must be a handmaid. You must be. You must serve. You must be meek and lowly. You must walk and operate in righteousness, being covered with the garment of righteousness. You must meekly and lowly and humbly serve. Serve your husband or serve your brothers. You must be a bond. You must be a handmaid. Read, little one.
All the idols I have cast away from me, and they perished. And a man came to me today from heaven and has given me bread of life, and I ate and I drank a blessed cup. And he said to me, I have given you for a bride to Joseph, and he himself shall be your bridegroom forever. And your name shall not be called Aseneth, but it shall be called City of Refuge. And Yahuwah Elohim shall reign over many nations, and through you shall they seek refuge. With Elohim all shall they eat. And the man said, I will go also to Joseph, that I may speak unto his ears these words concerning you. And now you know, master, if that man has come to you, and if he has spoken to you concerning me. Then Joseph said to Aseneth, blessed are you, woman of Elohim Al Shaddai.
Oh, now, blessed are you, woman of Elohim Al Shaddai. She's been reborn. The shame of Egypt has been taken away. That black dress, no, take that off, take that off, take that off. You're no longer mourning. You're no longer wearing the shame of the degradation of Egypt. You are now reborn. You are now regenerated. You are now wearing new garments. And now this righteous man says, blessed are you, daughter of Yahuwah Al Shaddai. Blessed are you. Blessed are you. I'm reminded, Mashpaka, for those of you who are considering marriage, to both daughters and sons, to those of you who are considering being one with someone, becoming those of you who are considering entering into a covenant with someone. As I look at this example of Aseneth and Yahusha, I'm reminded of a writing in the book of Sirach. And it goes a little something like this. A wicked woman is reserved for a wicked man. A wicked woman is reserved for a wicked man. Yahusha was a son of Elohim. He was a son of Elohim. No way would Yahuwah send a wicked woman to him. And no way would he accept it. And so a wicked woman is reserved for a wicked man. And you know, I'm not one that's good with biting his tongue. I'm not one that's good with that. And so, daughter, if you become impatient and you find yourself with a wicked man, I'm not one to bite my tongue. You need to go take a look in the mirror. But if you are humbling yourself and standing there naked before Abba in the way that Aseneth did, waiting and letting him shape and form you into a daughter of Zion and to clothe you in righteousness and oil you up with the oil of the anointing, giving you the unction of everlasting life, feeding you the bread of life, then a righteous man will find you. a righteous man will find you, because indeed he who finds a wife finds a good thing and receives favor from Yahuwah. You don't find him, he finds you. A righteous man will find you if you are a righteous woman. Read, little one.
And blessed is your name forever, for that Yahuwah Elohim has laid the foundations of your walls, and the sons of the living Yah shall dwell in your city of refuge. And Yahuwah Elohim shall reign over them forever. For that man came from heaven to me today and said these words to me concerning you. And now come here to me, you virgin and pure. And why do you stand far off? Then Yahusuf stretched out his hands and embraced Aseneth.
Oh, Barak Yahu, at first he would not touch this Mizrahi. No. Don't come near me. At first he would not embrace her. He would not touch her, because he was a pure man. He was a perfect man. At first he would not touch her. Indeed, we are told to not give our daughters to their sons, and our sons to their daughters. Sha'al speaks of it this way: wherefore come out from among them, be ye separate, touch not the unclean thing. Someone once told me, you don't call people unclean because of what was spoken in the book of Acts with regards to Cornelius. Oh, indeed, but Cornelius was a righteous man. Yes, he was. Cornelius was a Torah observant Gentile. He was not unclean. You are only unclean when you are not Torah observant, because it is the Torah which determines the clean from the unclean. And so if you're not Torah observant and not observant to that which is clean and abstaining from that which is unclean, what does the Torah say? That you are just as unclean and abominable as the unclean thing that you are touching. So she was dead. She was a dead person. She was dead things. And he didn't touch anything dead. He didn't touch anything unclean. Yes, people were unclean. Yes, even Yahusha calls them unclean. He calls them dogs, and he calls them pigs. Those who are not Torah observant, who are allowing the washing of the word to clean them. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. But now, having been washed, and having been oiled up, and having received a robe of righteousness, he says, come near me now. Come near me now. Now you're clean. Now you're clean. And if there is a righteous man, he will take the same posture. He would take the same posture and say, nay, no, I can't choose you for my Aisha. I can't come near you. I can't touch you. You can't touch me until you're clean. Not until you're clean. Indeed, that's Torah. That's Torah in the New and the so-called New Testament and the so-called Old. That's Torah in the Tanakh and the Ba'it Kadashah. Don't give your daughters to their sons, or your sons to their daughters. And do not touch the unclean thing, and he will receive us. Read, little one.
Then Yahusuf stretched out his hands and embraced Aseneth. And Aseneth, Yahusuf, and they kissed one another for a long time. And both lived again in their Ruach. And Yahusuf kissed Aseneth and gave her the Ruach Ka'aim. Then the second time he gave her the Ruach of Hakma. And the third time he kissed her tenderly and gave her the Ruach of Amath.
Barak Yahuwah, the Ruach of Amath. He kissed her, and this is akin to the laying on of hands. Now, we had previously read that she had received the Ruach HaKadosh, but I pray you understand now that just because we have received the Ruach HaKadosh, that doesn't mean that we have received gifts. Gifts come with additional feelings. Gifts of the Ruach come with additional feelings. Just because you have received the Ruach doesn't mean that you have received gifts. Here, Yahusuf is what he is doing is akin to laying on of hands of her in the way that Masha laid his hands on Yahusha and transferred what? A Ruach of Kakma into him. He already had a Ruach. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Everywhere Masha was, he was. He went up to the mountain with Masha. He was in the tent when Masha moved his tent outside the camp, the tent of appointment. Yahusha, and even when Masha left the tent, Yahusha stayed in the tent. He already had the Ruach. But when Masha laid hands on him, he gave him the Ruach of Kakma, which they call wisdom. And so here, this is akin to what Yahusuf is doing now, and now bestowing gifts of the Ruach upon Aseneth. Read, little one.
Chapter 20.
Chapter 20.
And when they had clasped one another around for a long time and intertwined the chains of their hands, Aseneth said to Joseph, "Come here, master, and enter our house. For that on my part I had prepared our house and a great dinner." And she took hold of his right hand and led him into her house and seated him on the chair of Patriarch, her father. And she brought water to wash his feet.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold up. Wait. She took him by his hand. And I'm not talking about no harlequin romance here. I'm just talking about simple meekness and humility. We're just looking at a perfect woman, at a handmaid who takes her husband by the hand. I'm not going to put you on the spot, little one. Who takes her husband by the hand, leads him in, sets him down, washes his feet. Is that what it says?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Daughters, how many of you are willing to wash your husband's feet? Or how many of you are currently washing your husband's feet? Understand, this is the ancient way. This is the ancient way. This is the ancient way that we even see in the Ba'it Kadashah, when the woman was so grateful that Yahusha had forgiven her, that she washed his feet with her tears and dried it with her hair. You see, she was a handmaid who was lying there naked before the master. How many of you are either willing to wash your husband's feet or wash his feet? Now understand something. This is also symbolic. This is also symbolic and a gesture of humility. You don't necessarily have to wash his feet, although you can. You don't necessarily have to wash his feet. The point is, do you submit yourself to him? Are you meek and humble before him? Are you presenting yourself as his handmaid? That's the point. That's perfection. That's righteousness. That is righteousness. That is the ancient way. Read, little one.
And Joseph said, "Let one of the virgins come and wash my feet."
No.
And Aseneth said to him, "No, master, for that henceforth you are my master, and I am your handmaid."
Whoa, wait a minute. From henceforth what?
You are my master, and I am your handmaid.
Whoa, wait a minute. From henceforth you are my what?
Master, and I am your handmaid.
Do you not know that a marriage, we've spoken about this, a marriage is a microcosm, should be a microcosm of our relationship with Yahuwah? Do you not know that he is our master? As our husband, he is our master in the same way that your husband is your master. He is your master. He is your ruler. He is your master. And in the same way that you reverence Yahuwah, in the same way that you don't speak to Yahuwah anyway, that you don't treat Yahuwah in any way, you don't speak to your husband in any sort of way and treat him in any sort of way. He is your master. As Sarah called Abram master, he is your master. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And you are his handmaid. And this will continue. This will continue. Now, if you operate in this, if we operate this way, as Yahusha operated as a bondman, as a slave, and as Aseneth now is introducing herself as his handmaid, meek and lowly and humble, showing that she is what? A sheep, a meek, humble, and docile, righteous sheep, and not a stiff-necked, stubborn goat. See, a goat won't do this. A goat won't do this, but a sheep, a meek, submissive, and humble sheep will do this. And the sheep are going to be separated unto his right, and the goats unto his left. Indeed, either you're born from above or you're born from below. And those sheep, the ones that humble themselves in the same way that the Hamashiach humbled himself, in the example that is shown in him, because he is Yahuwah in flesh. He is Yahuwah in flesh. And thinking about the second chapter of the book of Philippians, and when it speaks of him being highly exalted, he is already highly exalted. This speaks to us. If we operate in this way, then as Yahusha was highly exalted, then we will be highly exalted. If we operate in this same kind of righteousness, in this same kind of meekness and lowliness and perfection. Read, little one.
And why do you seek this, that another virgin should wash your feet? For your feet are my feet, and your hands my hands, your soul my soul, and another shall not wash your feet.
Sounds like she loved this man as she loved herself. Sounds like she put this man before herself. This is the ancient way, daughters. This is the ancient way. This is the perfect way that you must align yourself with. Read, little one.
And she constrained him and washed his feet. Then Joseph took hold of her right hand and kissed her tenderly.
Oh, wait. Hold up. No, he told her, I'm now your head. You have to do what I say. And I don't want to hear a word that you have to say. I am your head. And I am the man. I'm going to do whatever I want to do. Is that what he said?
No.
You sure?
Mm-hmm.
Because there are many out there who have this picture, who have this kind of picture that they are to rule harshly over their wives, that they are to rule them harshly. There are many who have this misconception, showing who their father is. Showing who their father is. YAHUAH'S, being full of the Ruach, speaks these same words. And when he says, live understandingly with her, as to the weaker vessel, understanding that she will be a co-heir so that your prayers are not hindered. You are to live tenderly with her. Treat her tenderly. Treat her gently. Love her. Be patient with her. You are to be gentle with her, kind and good to her. Love her as you love yourself. Put her before you. If you love her as you love yourself, then you begin to understand, would I treat myself this way? Would I do this to myself? If you would not do it to yourself, then don't do it to her. Be gentle with her. Read, little one. I want you to read that again. He took her by the hand. He did what?
Then Joseph took hold of her right hand and kissed her tenderly.
Kissed her tenderly.
And Aseneth kissed his head tenderly.
Oh, Barak Yahuwah.
And thereupon...
And she kissed him tenderly. Oh, little one, don't get ahead. They got to get this. And she kissed him tenderly. Mm-hmm. Because many have the wrong understanding of what it's supposed to look like. It must look like our relationship with Yahuwah. Isn't he tender with us?
Yes, he is, Barak Yahuwah.
Isn't he loving?
Yes, he is.
Isn't he patient?
Yes, he is.
Isn't he kind?
Yes, he is.
Isn't he gentle?
Yes, he is.
Isn't he long-suffering?
Yes, he is.
It's got to look like that. Mm. That's how it looks, Mishpaka. That's the ancient way. Because he is the ancient of days. That's the ancient way. And that's the way it's got to look. You've got to love her as you love yourself. You have to love him as you love yourself. You've got to put him before you. Man, you've got to put her before you. You got to be gentle with her. Patient, kind, loving, good to her. This is the ancient way. We've gotten off track. Wife, Aisha submitting to husband. Husband submitting to Aisha. This is why Kafa says that your body ain't your own. It's not your own. You can't deny her rights, and she can't deny you the marital rights, because your bodies are not your own. You submitting to one another. You submit to one another, putting each other before each other. Read, little one.
And thereupon he seated her at his right hand. Her father and mother and all her kindred then came from the possessions of their inheritance. And they saw her sitting with Joseph and clad in a wedding garment. And they marveled at her beauty and rejoiced and glorified Yahuwah, who quickens the dead. And after these things they ate and drank, and all having made cheer, Potiphar said to Joseph, tomorrow I will call all the princes and satraps of all the land of Mitzrayim, and will make a wedding for you, and you shall take my daughter Aseneth to be your woman. But Joseph said, I go tomorrow to Parah, the king, for he himself is my father, and appointed me ruler over this land. And I will speak to him concerning Aseneth, and he will give her to me to be my woman.
You see, this is another characteristic of perfection. And what is that? And that is to respect authority. That is to respect authority as to Elohim. That is to respect authority. That is to respect the ones that he's placed over you to shepherd. That is to respect the authority of your husband. That is to respect the authority of the governing authorities of the nations of which we have been held, of which we are held captive. Because how can you say that you respect Yahuwah, but you do not respect the one of whom he's given authority over you to govern you? You cannot say it. And so this is a part of perfection. This is the ancient way. As we read in the text, this is why YAHUAH'S came into the court of Par'ah and did what? He bowed to him. This is why Abraham did the same. This is why Abraham bowed before authorities and leadership. This is why Yitzchak did the same. This is why YAHUAH'S did the same. This is why YAHUAH'S, when he met his brother, he bowed to him. Why? Because his brother was firstborn according to the flesh, meaning that he was the elder, meaning that he had authority over him. So he bowed to governing authorities. Part of perfection is respecting governing authorities. That too is the fruit of the Ruach, which are the ingredients of perfection. That meekness, that gentleness, that humility of respecting authority, respecting and subjecting yourselves to governing authorities. Whenever you find someone who cannot subject themselves to authority, that one is not of Yahuwah. That is a goat. That's a goat. That's not a sheep. That's a goat. Barak Yahuwah. Read, little one.
And Potipharah said to him, go in Shalom. Chapter 21. And Yahusuf stayed that day with Potipharah, and he did not go in to Aseneth, for that he was accustomed to say, it is not proper for a man who worships Yahuwah to sleep with his woman before his marriage. And Yahusuf...
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Whoa. It's not proper for a man of Elohim to sleep with his woman before marriage. That doesn't seem to be the case, even in the house of YAHUAH. It doesn't seem to be the case. That doesn't seem to be the prevailing thought, that they must wait, that they must betroth this woman, that they must come before witnesses and exchange vows with this woman. And then they become one flesh with this woman. That's not the prevailing thought. There's a lot of foolishness that's going on. I know that there's been a lot of desensitizing in this wicked land and all over the world with respect to the clean and the unclean. Especially in this season when they're telling you, you can't tell me who I am to sleep with or when I am to sleep with them. You can't tell me if whether or not I can sleep with a male or a female or a goat. That doesn't seem to be the prevailing thought. But if you call yourself a man of Elohim, then we must follow the example of Yahuwah. You see, Yahuwah has yet to come. We have yet to enter into the wedding chamber with Yahuwah. He's just giving us a down payment. You see, when we enter into the wedding chamber with Yahuwah, we're going to be one with him. In the words of Yahuchanan, we do not yet know what we will be, but when we see him, we shall be as he is. We shall see him as he is because we shall be like him. That don't take place until the last great day, until after the 7,000 year. You see that millennial rest at 1,000 years, that's the wedding feast. That's the wedding feast. That's drinking, that's rejoicing, that's celebrating. It is a Shabbat day. It's not the Shabbat, a day of celebration and feasting. Yes, it is. 1,000 years to Yahuwah is a day. So for that 1,000 years, for that day, it is going to be a celebration with the Hamashiach. That's the wedding feast. Then comes the consummation of the marriage on the last great day when we see him as he is. And the reason we're going to see him as he is because we're going to be just like him. We're going to be one with him. We're going to enter into the marriage chamber. And at that point, if we are not found to be virgins, understand, listen, hear him. At the great judgment seat, if we're found not to be virgins, we're going to be taken outside of our Father's house and stoned in accordance with the Torah. But in that judgment, you're going to be thrown into the eternal lake of fire. There's a process we follow. We follow this process. A man of Elohim does not come in to his woman until the process has been followed, until he has married her, until he has exchanged vows with her. This is a perfect man. This is what it looks like to be perfect and to not compromise righteousness. To not compromise righteousness. To gird up your loins. To gird up your loins. To not give in to the desires of your wicked flesh, but to wait until you have wedded this woman and done it properly in accordance with the way that Yahuwah has wedded us. Read, little one.
And Joseph rose early and departed to Pharaoh and said to him, give me Aseneth, daughter of Pharaoh, priest of to be my woman. And Pharaoh rejoiced with great joy, and he said to Joseph, lo, has this one not been betrothed to you to be your woman from eternity? Accordingly, let her be your woman henceforth and to time eternal. Then Pharaoh sent and called Potiphar, and Potiphar brought Aseneth and set her before Pharaoh. And Pharaoh, when he saw her, marveled at her beauty and said, Yahuwah Elohim of Joseph shall bless you, child, and this your beauty shall remain to eternity. For that Yahuwah Elohim of Joseph chose you as a bride for him. For Joseph is as the son of all Ayun, and you shall be called his bride henceforth and forever.
Barak Yahuwah.
And after these things, Pharaoh took Joseph and Aseneth and set golden wreaths upon their heads, which were in his house from of old and from ancient times. And Pharaoh set Aseneth at Joseph's right hand. And Pharaoh put his hands upon their head and said, Yahuwah Elohim Al-Yun shall bless you and shall multiply and magnify and esteem you to time eternal. Then Pharaoh turned them around to face one another, brought them mouth to mouth, and they kissed one another. And Pharaoh made a wedding for Joseph and a great dinner and much drinking for 7 days. He called together all the rulers of Mitzrayim and all the kings of the nations, having made proclamation in the land of Mitzrayim, saying, every man who shall do work during the 7 days of the wedding of Joseph and Aseneth shall surely die. And while their wedding was going on, and when the dinner was ended, Joseph went into Aseneth, and Aseneth conceived by Joseph, and bore Manasseh and Ephraim his brother in Joseph's house.
Barak Yahuwah.
Barak Yahuwah, chapter 22.
Chapter 22. Barak Yahuwah.
And when the 7 years of plenty had passed, the 7 years of famine began to come. And when Yaakov heard about Joseph his son, he came into Mitzrayim with all his kindred in the 2nd year of the famine, in the 2nd month, on the 21st day of the month, and settled in Gashun. And Aseneth said to Joseph, I will go and see your father, for that your father Yasharel is as my father and my Elohim. And Joseph said to her, you shall go with me and see my father. And Joseph and Aseneth came to Yaakov in the land of Gashun, and Joseph's brethren met them and made obeisance to them upon their faces on the earth. Then both went into Yaakov, and Yaakov was sitting upon his bed, and he himself was an old man in a lusty old age. And when Aseneth saw him, she marveled at his beauty.
Oh, men of Elohim are beautiful too. Men of Elohim are beautiful too. When Aseneth, this beautiful daughter of Zion, came in and looked at this old man, she marveled at his beauty. She marveled at the beauty of a son of Elohim. She marveled at this perfect man whom Joseph in every way was like. Marveled at this beautiful man. Read, little one.
Yaakov was beautiful to behold exceedingly, and his old age as the youth of a commonly man. And all his head was white like snow, and the hairs of his head were all close and thick exceedingly. And his beard white reaching to his breast, his eyes cheerful and glistening, his sinews and his shoulders and his arms as of an messenger, his thighs and his calves and his feet as of a giant. Then Aseneth, when she saw him, thus marveled and fell down and made obeisance on her face upon the earth.
She marveled at this beautiful, perfect man of Elohim, made in the image of Elohim, Barak Yahuwah, having the very DNA of Yahuwah Al Shaddai coursing through his veins, and whom his son, his firstborn Joseph, was just like him in every way, just like this man in every way. Read, little one.
And Yaakov said to Joseph, is this my daughter-in-law, your woman? Blessed shall she be of Elohim, all shall they eat. Then Yaakov called Aseneth to himself and blessed her and kissed her tenderly. And Aseneth stretched out her hands and took hold of Yaakov's neck and hung on to his neck and kissed him tenderly.
Barak Yahuwah.
And after these things they ate and drank. And thereupon both Joseph and Aseneth went to their house. And Shemaon and Lewi, the sons of Laah, alone conducted them forth. But the sons of Bilhah and Zilpah, the handmaids of Laah and Rachel, did not join in conducting them forth, for they envied and detested them. And Lewi was at Aseneth's right, and Shemaon at her left.
You see, this is why Yahusuf was firstborn. This is why he received the inheritance. This is why it passed from Reuben to Yahusuf. Yahusuf had no guile in his heart. Yahusuf had no envy in his heart. Yahusuf had no self-interest in his heart. He put his brothers before himself. He didn't envy them. He loved them as he loved himself. You see, that's perfection. That's firstborn. That's a firstborn. And so, again, Abba has spoken about this before. When we read the book of Numbers, I believe it's around the 22nd or 23rd chapter, and when Balaam, the magician who was brought over by Balak, the Moabite king or sovereign, to curse them, he said that there is no sorcery or divination against Yasha'al. He says that Yahuwah, and I'm paraphrasing, has found no unrighteousness, has found no guile, has found none of this in Yasha'al. In Yasha'al. And it was said that he wasn't talking about the 12 tribes. There was much guile with them. There was much guile. When he looked to them, he saw the fathers. And he remembered his promise to the fathers, to Abraham, Ishak, and Yasha'al. So when it is said he found no guile in Yasha'al, when he found no unrighteousness in Yasha'al, he was not talking about that great multitude. He's talking about this man here. This man, Yaakov, Yasha'al. And so, indeed, this is why Yahusuf is firstborn. None of this was found in him. No, he was a descendant, as is all the sons of the rain, descended from righteous Habal, descended from Seth, who was just like righteous Habal. All the sons of the rain are descended from them. There was no guile found in their hearts. None. And so this is why, and this is what perfection looks like. This is why Yahusuf was firstborn and no one else. He was 11th born son. Why was it not any of the rest of them? Why was it not the sons of Bilhah or Zilpah or any of the rest of them? Because it says here they envied them. They envied them. They had guile in their heart. They had envy in their heart. They did not display the characteristic of a firstborn. They were not like their father, Yaakov. Read, little one.
And Aseneth took hold of Lewi's hand, for that she loved him exceedingly above all Yahusuf's brethren, and as a prophet and a worshiper of Elohim, and one who feared Yahuwah.
As a what?
As a prophet and a worshiper of Elohim.
As a what?
Nabi.
No, keep going. I want you to say it one more time.
And as a prophet and a worshiper.
And a worshiper of Elohim. You call yourself a priest? And you're not a worshiper? You're not a priest. You're not a priest if you're not a worshiper. A priest worships. A priest worships. And indeed, I have to remind you again that we're supposed to be a nation of priests. Read, little one. This is the ancient way. This is perfection. This is perfection. Part of being perfect is being a worshiper. Worshiping in ruah and in truth. It is these type of worshipers that the Father seeks. Read, little one.
And one who feared Yahuwah, for he was an understanding man and a prophet of Al-Ayun, and he himself saw letters written with the finger of Yahuwah. And he knew the hidden things of Elohim that were revealed to him, and revealed them to Aseneth in secret. For Lewi himself also loved Aseneth much, and saw the place of her rest in the highest. Chapter 23.
Barak Yahuwah. He loved her because he saw who was in her. In the same way that Abraham loved Yaakov, because he saw who was in him. in the same way that YAHUAH'S loved Yahusuf, because he saw what was in him, or who was in him. And in the same way that he loved Ephraim, the youngest, because he saw who was in him. Read.
And it came to pass, as Joseph and Aseneth were passing by, Perah's firstborn son saw them from the wall. And when he saw Aseneth, he became mad at her because of her surpassing beauty. Then Perah's son sent messengers and called Shamaun and Lewi to him. And when they came and stood before him, Perah's firstborn said to them, I, for my part, knew that you are today mighty men above all men upon the earth. And with these right hands of yours, the city of Shakaim was overthrown. And with your 2 swords, 30,000 warriors were cut down. And I today will take you to myself as companions and give you much gold and silver and serving men and handmaids and houses and great inheritances, and contend on my side and do me kindness. For I received great spite from your brother Joseph, since he himself took Aseneth to be his woman, and this woman was betrothed to me from of old. And now come with me, and I will fight against Joseph to slay him with my sword. And I will take Aseneth to be my woman, and you shall be to me as brethren and trustworthy friends. But if you shall not listen to my word, I will slay you with my sword. And when he had said these things, he drew out his sword and showed it to them. And Shamaun was a bold and daring man.
The righteous are as bold as a lion. Come on.
And he thought to lay his right hand upon the hilt of his sword and draw it from the sheath thereof, and smote Perah's son, for that he had spoken hard words to them. Lewi then saw the thought of his heart, because he was a prophet, and trod with him with his foot on Shimeon's right foot, and pressed it, causing him to cease from his wrath.
Oh, see, a priest, and we're all supposed to be priests, seek shalom, pursue shalom with all men, and separateness. Yes, you see, the priest had separate kadush unto Yahuwah upon his forehead. Yes, you see, a priest seeks shalom with all men, and separateness, for without which no one shall see Yahuwah. Read, little one.
And Lewi said quietly to Shamaun, why are you angry against this man? We are men who worship Elohim, and it is not proper for us to render evil for evil. Then Lewi said to Perah's son,
it is not proper for us to render evil for evil. We don't render evil for evil. There are many who do evil to us. There are many who do evil things to us and say evil things about us, but we are not to return evil for evil. This is the ancient way. This is the ancient way. Many every day do evil against Yahuwah, but he does not return evil for evil. He does not. In the same way, we are to be perfect even as he is perfect. Read, little one.
Then Lewi said to Perah's son openly with mildness of heart.
Openly with mildness of heart. With mildness of heart. He has a mild, a meek, and humble heart. But I pray you understand that Lewi was no effeminate man. He's just a man of shalom. But just because he's a man of shalom does not mean that he's an effeminate man. Listen to his words.
Why do you speak these words? We are men who worship Elohim, and our father is a friend of Al-Ayun, and our brother is as a son of Elohim. And how shall we do this wicked thing, to commit crime in the sight of our Elohim and of our father Yasharal, and in the sight of our brother Yehusaf? And now hear my words. It is not proper for a man who worships Elohim to injure any man in any way. And if any wishes to injure a man who worships Elohim, that man who worships Elohim does not avenge himself upon him. For that
vengeance is mine, thus says Yahuwah. This is the ancient way. This is the perfect way. Read.
For that there is no sword in his hand. And you beware of speaking any more of these words about our brother Yehusaf.
Listen, he's a righteous man. He's a perfect man. He's a priest of Elohim. He's a Nabi. He's a man of shalom. But that does not mean he's an effeminate man. None of our righteous fathers were. Read.
But if you continue in your evil counsel, lo, our swords are drawn against you.
Yes.
Then Shamaun and Lewi drew their swords from their sheaths and said, do you now see these swords? With these 2 swords, Yahuwah punished the despite of the Shakaim, wherewith they did despite to the sons of Yasharel through our sister Dinah, whom Shechem the son of Kamor defiled. And Parah's son, when he saw the sword drawn, feared exceedingly, and trembled over all his body, for that they glittered like a flame of fire. And his eyes became dim, and he fell upon his face on the earth beneath their feet. Then Louis stretched out his right hand and took hold of him, saying, Stand up and do not fear, only beware of speaking any more any evil word.
Of shalom and compassion. Compassion. This is the perfect way. Now we're talking about the fruit of the Ruach, which he is displaying, which are the ingredients to perfection. So after all of this, after drawing the sword and seeing this man crumble and maybe using the bathroom on himself, he meekly and humbly with shalom picked him up. Gently picked this man up, and he said what?
And so both Shimeon and Lewi went out from before his face. Beware of speaking any evil word concerning our brother Yahusha.
Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah.
Chapter 24.
Chapter 24. What are we looking like for time?
1:30.
1:30. All right. Barak Yahuwah.
Barak Yahuwah.
Chapter 24. Read.
Parah's son then continued to be full of fear and grief, for that he feared Yahusha's brethren. And again he was exceedingly mad by reason of Aseneth's beauty, and grieved greatly. Then his serving men said in his ear, Lo, the sons of Bilhah and the sons of Zalpah, the handmaids of La'ah and Rakal, Ya'akub's women, are at great enmity against Joseph and Aseneth, and hate them. These will be to you in all things according to your will. Straightway, therefore, Parah's son sent messengers and called them. And they came to him at the first hour of the night, and they stood in his presence. And he said to them, I see that you are mighty men. And Dan and Gad, the elder brother, said to him, Let my master now speak to his serving men, that he wishes that your serving men may hear, and we may do according to your will.
I bring your attention to Dan, or Don. You won't find Don in the 144,000, because it is said that Don has done wickedness the longest, that Don has participated in idolatry the longest, and thus you do not see Don in the counting of the 144,000. You do see Don in the reign of the Hamashiach, in the 1,000-year Shabbat day, in the millennial in the millennial rest, as they call it. You see Don there, but you do not see Don leaving with the 144,000. You see Don coming out with the great multitudes, with the nations having washed their robes in the fires of the great tribulation. And so I bring that to your attention as we read about Don here. Read, little one.
Then Parah's son rejoiced with exceedingly great joy, and said to his servant men, Withdraw now for a short space from me, for I have secret speech with which to hold with these men. And they all withdrew. Then Parah's son lied and had said to them, Lo, now blessings and death are before your faces. Take therefore the blessings rather than the death, because you are mighty men and will not die as women. But be brave and avenge yourselves upon your enemies. For I have heard Yahusha your brother saying to Parah my father, Dan and Gad and Naphtali and Asher are not my brethren, but children of my father's handmaid. I wait therefore for my father's death, and will blot them out from the earth and all their issues, lest they should inherit with us, because they are children of handmaids. For these also sold me to the Ishalaim, and I will render to them again according to their spite, which they wickedly committed against me. Only my father shall die. And my father Parah commended him for these things, and said to him, You have spoken well, child. Accordingly, take from me mighty men, and proceed against them according to what they wrought against you, and I will be a helper to you. And when Dan and Gad heard these things from Parah's son, they were greatly troubled and grieved exceedingly. And they said to him, We pray you to help us, for henceforth we are your slaves and bondmen, and we will die with you. And Parah's son said, I will be a helper to you, if you also will listen to my words. And they said to him, Command us what you wish, and we will do according to your will. And Parah's son said to them, I will slay my father Parah this night, for that Parah is as Yahusha's father, and said to him that he would help him against you. And you slay Yahusha, and I will take Aseneth to myself to be my woman, and you shall be my brethren and fellow heirs of all my possessions. Only do this thing. And Dan and Gad said to him, God said to him, we are your serving men today, and will do all the things that you have commanded us. And we have heard YAHUAH'S saying to Aseneth, go tomorrow to the possession of our inheritance, for that it is the season of the vintage. And he sent 600 men mighty to war with her, and 44 runners. Now therefore hear us, and we will speak to our master. And they spoke to him all the secret words. Then Parah's son gave the 4 brethren 500 men each, and appointed them their chiefs and leaders. And Dan and Gad said to him, we are your serving men today, and will do all the things that you have commanded us. And we will set forth by night, and lie in wait in the ravine, and hide ourselves in the thickets of the reeds. And do you take with yourself 50 bowmen and upon horses, and go a long way before us. And Aseneth will come and fall into our hands, and we will cut down the men who are with her. And she herself will flee before with her chariot and fall into your hands, and you shall do to her as your soul desires. And after these things we will slay YAHUAH'S also while he is grieving for Aseneth. Likewise also his children we will slay before his eyes. Parah's firstborn son then, when he heard these things, rejoiced exceedingly, and he sent them forth, and 2,000 fighting men with them. And when they came to the ravine, they hid themselves in the thickets of the reeds. And they divided into 4 companies, and took upon their stations on the far sides of the ravine, as in the front part. 500 men on this side and on that, and on the near side of the ravine, likewise the rest remained. And they themselves also took up their station in the thickets of the reeds. 500 men on this side and on that of the road, and between them was a broad and wide road. Chapter 25.
Barak Yahuwah. Chapter 25. We may very well finish this
need
book.
A water break.
We may. Ashiyah says she needs a water break.
Barak Yahuwah.
Barak Yahuwah.
Okay, 25. Then Parah's son rose up the same night and came to his father's bedchamber to slay him with the sword. His father's guards thereupon hindered him from coming in to his father, and said to him, what do you command, master? And Parah's son said to them, I wish to see my father, because I am going to gather the vintage of my new planted vineyard. And the guard said to him, your father suffers pain, and has lain awake the whole night, and now rest. And he said to us that no one was to come into him, not even if my firstborn son. And he, on hearing these things, went away in wrath, and straightway took 50 mounted bowmen in number, and went away before them, as Dan and Gad had said to him. And the younger brother Naphtali and Asher spoke to their elder brethren Dan and Gad, saying, why do you again work wickedness against your father Yasharel, and against your brothers YAHUAH'S? And Elohim preserves him as the apple of an eye. Lo, did you not once sell YAHUAH'S? And he is king today of all the land of Mitzrayim, and food giver. Now therefore, if you again wish to work wickedness against him, he will cry to Al-Ayun, and he will send fire from heaven, and it will devour you, and the messengers of Elohim will fight against you. Then the elder brother were moved.
You can't just pass by that, because that's very relevant. That's very relevant for a son of the rain. Indeed, if you are a son of the rain, if you are a firstborn son, this is possible. He will move heaven and earth for a son of the rain. He will send down fire. He will send down arrows. He will send messengers to destroy. He will send a destroyer for a son of the rain. Yes, he will. Yes, he will. Read, little one.
Oh, she did page. I don't know. Okay. And shall we die as women? Far be it. And they went out to meet Joseph and Aseneth. Chapter 26.
Chapter 26. Barak Yahuwah. I think we may get to the end of this. Barak Yahuwah. Chapter 26.
Okay. Somebody asked for page. I'm just trying to tell them real quick. Okay. And Aseneth rose in the morning and said to Joseph, I am going to the possession of our inheritance, as you have said, but my soul fears exceedingly that you are parting from me. And Joseph said to her, be of good cheer, and do not be afraid, but rather go away rejoicing, in dread of no man whatever, for YAHUAH is with you, and he himself will preserve you as the apple of an eye from every evil.
Barak Yahuwah, this is a promise to every firstborn and to every daughter born of the Ruach. Barak Yahuwah, come on.
And I will set forth my giving of food, and will give to all the men in the city, and no man shall perish of hunger in the land of Mitzrayim. Then Asenath departed on her way, as did Yahusha for his giving of food. And when Asenath reached the place of the ravine with the 600 men, suddenly those who were with Parah's son came forth from their ambush and joined battle with those who were with Asenath.
Barak Yahuwah, we see Yahusha now going out and giving food. You see, this is another trait. This is another characteristic of a firstborn. We are to what? We are to feed the hungry. We are to feed the poor of the land, the widow, the stranger, and the orphan, and the Levites. We're to clothe them. We're to feed them. This is a trait. This is Torah. This is Torah. So we see him being used in Torah. Even though he is a sovereign, we see him being used in Torah by going what? Going out to feed the hungry. Going out to feed the hungry as we are commanded by the Torah. Read, little one.
Okay. I'm just going to read it again. Ambush and joined battle with those who were with Asenath, and cut them all down with their swords, and all her forerunners were slain. But Asenath fled with her chariot. Then Louis, the son of La'ah, knew all these things by the Ruach as a prophet, and told his brethren of Asenath's danger, and straightway each of them took his sword upon his thigh, and their shields upon their arms, and the spears in their right hand, and pursued after Asenath with great speed. And as Asenath was fleeing before, lo, Parah's son met her, and 50 horsemen with him. And Asenath, when she saw him, was seized with great fear, and was trembling, and she called upon the name of Yahuwah Elohim. Chapter 27.
Chapter 27. Here, chapter 26 now, she calls upon the name of Elohim, Yahuwah. In the second chapter of You All, it reads that all who call upon the name of Yahuwah shall be what? Shall be delivered. Let's watch her deliverance. Read, little one.
Chapter 27. And Benjamin was sitting with her on the chariot on the right side. And Benjamin was a strong boy of about 19 years, and upon him was ineffable beauty and might as of a lion's whelp. And he was also one who feared Yahuwah exceedingly. Then Benjamin leaped down from the chariot and took a round stone from the ravine, and filled his hand, and hurled it at Parah's son, and smote his left temple, and wounded him with a grievous wound. And he fell from his horse upon the earth half dead. And thereupon Benjamin, having run up on to a rock, said to Asenath's chariot man, Give me stones from the ravine. And he gave him 50 stones. And Benjamin hurled the stones, and slew the 50 men who were with Parah's son, all the stones sinking in through their temples.
That sounds like Dawood and Goliath. You see, they think that these things are not possible for sons of Elohim. But these things are possible because it is not our strength. It is the strength of Yahuwah through whom we fight. There is no way for a youth in size of a boy the size of Dawood should have been able to sling a stone that he slang that stone with such force that it sunk into the head of that giant. He slung that stone with the strength of Yahuwah, because Yahuwah is with all of the sons of the rain. Read, little one.
Then the sons of La'ah, Ra'uban, and Shamaun, Louis, and Yehuda, Issachar, and Zabulun pursued after the men who had laid in wait against Asenath, and fell upon them unawares, and cut them all down. And 6 men slew 2,076 men.
Barak Yahuwah. We see exploits like this in the book of Jasher as well. So there is witnesses. There are witnesses to this. We see this same accounts like this in the book of Jasher. We see accounts like this in the traditional 66, where Abraham took 300 men, I believe. It may have been 200 men, and he pursued 4 or 5 sovereigns, 800,000 men, and he slew them and rescued his son Luke. You see, this is not beyond reason. This is not beyond the imagination for a son of the rain. Barak Yahuwah. Read, little one.
And the sons of Balha and Zalpa fled from their face, and said, We have perished at the hands of our brethren. And Parah's son has also died by the hands of Banyaman the boy. and all who were with him perished by the hand of the boy Benjamin. According therefore, come, let us slay Asenath and Benjamin and flee to the thickets of these reeds. And they came against Asenath, holding their swords drawn, covered with blood. And Asenath, when she saw them, feared greatly, and said, YAHUAH, who quickened me and delivered me from the idols and the corruption of death, even as you have said to me that my soul shall live forever, deliver me now also from these wicked men. And YAHUAH heard Asenath's voice, and straightway the swords of the adversaries fell from their hands upon the earth and were turned into ashes.
I pray someone understands Psalms 91. When you call me, I answer you, because you have known my name. Because you have known my name, and I will show you my deliverance. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Oh, there are great benefits to being a son of the reign or a daughter of the reign and walking in perfection, walking in righteousness, walking in truth. Barak Yahuwah. Read.
28, chapter 28.
Chapter 28.
And the sons of Bilhah and Zappah, when they saw this great thing that had been wrought, feared and said, Yahuwah fights against us as on Asenath's behalf. Then they fell upon their faces on the earth and made obeisance to Asenath and said, have compassion on us, your bondmen, for that you are our mistress and queen. We wickedly committed evil deeds against you and against our brother Yahusuf, but Yahuwah requited us according to our works. Therefore we, your bondmen, pray, have compassion on us and deliver us from the hands of our brethren, for that they will make themselves avengers of the spite done to you, and their swords are against us. Accordingly be favorable to your bondmen, mistress, before them. And Asenath said to them, be of good cheer and do not be afraid of your brethren, for that they themselves are men who worship Elohim and fear Yahuwah, but go into the thickets of these reeds until I shall appease them on your behalf, and stay their wrath on account of the great crimes which you on your part have dared to commit against them. But Yahuwah shall see and judge between me and you. Then Dan and Gad fled into the thickets of the reeds, and Laah's son came running like stags against them. And Asenath stepped down from the chariot that was her covert and gave them her right hand with tears, and they themselves fell down and made obeisance to her on the earth and wept with a loud voice. And they continued asking their brethren, the sons of the handmaids, to put them to death. And Asenath said to them, I pray, spare your brethren and do not render to them evil for evil.
Do not render evil for evil. You see, this is the language of a righteous one. This is the language of a perfect one. This is the language of one walking in perfection. This is the ancient way. Do not render evil for evil. Read.
For Yahuwah saved me from them and shattered their daggers and swords from their hands. And lo, they have melted and were burned to ashes upon the earth like wax from before fire. And this is sufficient for us, that Yahuwah fights for us against them.
Barak Yahuwah. Vengeance is mine. Thus says Yahuwah. I will repay. Read, little one.
Accordingly, spare your brethren, for that they are your brethren, and the blood of your father Yasharah. And Shamaun said to her, why does our mistress speak good words on behalf of her enemies?
Can you not see that this is a righteous one? That this is a perfect one? That they wanted to kill her? They wanted to slay her? But this righteous woman, this perfect woman, says, no, don't render evil for evil. Yahuwah will revenge me. He repays. He revenges us. He repays. Do not do any harm to these men. Do not spill the blood of your brethren, the brothers of the sons of your father. Do no harm to them. This is what a righteous one does. This is what a perfect one does. Read, little one.
No, but rather we will cut them down limb from limb with our swords, for that they devised evil things concerning our brother Yahusuf and our father Yasharel, and against you today. Then Asenath stretched out her right hand and touched Shamaun's beard and kissed him tenderly and said, in no way, brother, render evil for evil to your neighbor, for Yahuwah will avenge this spite. They themselves, you know, are your brethren and the offspring of your father Yasharel, and they fled from afar from your face. Accordingly, grant them pardon. Then Lewi came up to her and kissed her right hand tenderly, for that he knew that she was willing to save the men from their brethren's anger, that they should not slay them. And they themselves were near at hand in the thickets of the reed bed. And Lewi his brother, knowing this, did not declare it to his brethren, for he feared lest in their anger they would cut down their brethren. Chapter 29.
Chapter 29, Barak Yahuwah, the last chapter. Chapter 29, the last chapter.
And Parah's son rose from the earth and sat up and spat blood from his mouth, for the blood was running down from his temple into his mouth. And Benjamin ran up to him and took his sword and drew it from Parah's son's sheath, for Benjamin was not wearing a sword upon his thigh, and wished to smite Parah's son upon the breast. Then Louis ran up to him and took hold of his hand and said,
Go ahead.
In no wise, brother, do this thing, for that we are men who worship Elohim. And it is not right for a man who worships Elohim to render evil for evil, nor to trample upon one who has fallen, nor utterly to crush his enemy even to death. And now put back the sword.
This is the ancient way. This is the perfect way. I pray you're paying attention. Read, little one.
And now put back the sword into his place and come and help me, and let us heal him of this wound. And if he lives, he will be our friend, and his father Parah will be our father. Then Louis raised Parah's son from the earth, and washed away the blood from his face, and tied a bandage over his wound, and set him upon his horse, and led him to his father Parah, relating to him all the things that had happened and befallen. And Parah arose from his throne and made obeisance to Louis upon the earth, and blessed him. Then when the third day had passed, Parah's son died from the stone where he had been wounded by Benjamin. And Parah mourned for his firstborn son exceedingly. And from the grief Parah fell sick and died at 109 years of age. And he left his diadem to Joseph. And Joseph reigned alone in Mitzrayim for 48 years. And after these things, Joseph gave back the diadem to Parah's younger son.
This has a witness in the book of Jasher. Read.
Who was at the breast when the old man Parah died. And Joseph was thereafter as a father to Parah's younger child in Mitzrayim until his death, esteeming and praising Elohim.
Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. And neither did Joseph, that righteous man, hold that discretion against his brothers. He did not render evil for evil. Vengeance is mine, thus says Yahuwah, I shall repay. And this is the conduct of a righteous one. This is the conduct of a perfect one. This is the righteous way. This is the perfect way. And so these are things, Mishpaka, as we read, these are things that are very difficult to do in the flesh. Very difficult, if not impossible, to do in the flesh. It's very difficult to then spare someone's life who was trying to take yours. If they've been mortally wounded in battle and they're lying there and you know that they're trying to take your life, and you know that perhaps if that person gets up and is healed, that perhaps they would come and try to take your life again. These things are very difficult to do in the flesh, but we must be compassionate in all things. In all things, we must show compassion. This is the ancient way. In all things, we must show meekness and humility. In all things, we must show righteous conduct. We must never render evil for evil. We must never seek revenge, because revenge is YAHUAH'S to take and YAHUAH'S to take alone. This is the ancient way. This is the ancient way. This is the righteous way. This is the perfect way. Barak Yahuwah. So as we continue, I pray that this word has not fallen by the wayside. That these words, as we walk along this ancient path, are not falling on stony ground. That these words, as we walk along this ancient path, are not falling amongst thorns. But that we're understanding that we must be righteous, that we must do righteousness, that we must be perfect, even as our Father is perfect. It is my prayer that these words are being scattered amongst fertile soil, fertilized soil, and that they are beginning to sprout, they're beginning to grow, such that the water of the living water that sprouts up to everlasting life will come forth and water that seed, water that sprout, such that it grows up to become a mighty tree, producing the fruit that leads to everlasting life. I pray that these words that are being spoken along this ancient path are not falling to the ground void, but that they are accomplishing the very intent of the purpose and plan that Yahuwah has sent them forth to do. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, we pray. So be it.
So be it.
So once again, we thank you on YouTube who have joined us once again for another Shabbat gathering. We pray that you are being edified. We pray that you are not only being edified, but that you are beginning to align yourself with righteousness, that you're beginning to align yourself with the perfect way, that you're beginning to understand that we must be perfect, that to be a firstborn means to be perfect. You're seeing the behavior requisite of a firstborn. This is the behavior that is requisite and that is expected of a firstborn son. It is not optional, it is mandatory. And it is my prayer that you're beginning to understand that this type of behavior, that this type of righteousness cannot be accomplished in your flesh. It can only be accomplished in the Ruach. So until the next time, Yahuwah barak you and guard you. Yahuwah make his face shine upon you and show favor unto you. Yahuwah lift up his face upon you and give you shalom. Thus you shall put my name on the children of Yasha'al, and I myself shall barak them. So be it, so be it, so be it.